Okay, after we determine the network address of the Perth network, Singapore networks, and Jakarta network, and so on, okay, we still have 4 WAN links, okay, that need IP address. So you need to create networks for these 4 WAN links. Okay, so if you do your subnetting, okay, I'm sure now you know that WAN links always have /30 because WAN link need 2 IP address, and /30 will give you 2 IP address. Okay, so if you do your subnetting, well, you should be able to get the network address of the WAN link. This for the first one, this second one, third one, and fourth one. And these are the IP address inside the WAN link. 2 IP address each for each of the WAN links. Okay, so where do you give the IP address? You give it to the links connecting the routers. Okay, the serial links here. So this is between Perth and Singapore, the first WAN link, 2 IP address, one here and one here. Okay, 2 IP address here, one for the 00 interface for Singapore, the other one for KL, and so on. Okay, so these are the 4 WAN links, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, for the WAN links, the DCE are connected to the serial line, the 0000 line. Okay, so remember to configure the clock rate for the 0000 line. Okay, for the WAN link here, 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 and here. Okay, so once you get all the IP address, we are ready to configure the routers. Okay, so I created the packet tracer file so you can download it from Bedboard and start configuring. Okay, so this is the packet tracer file that you should see. Okay, again, 4 routers are there, the WAN links are connected, and each router is connected to a PC. Okay, there's also a Signi routers is for future expansion. For this lab, you only need to do for the 4 routers and 4 PC. If you wish, you can also do it for the Signi. Okay, let's look at what is the requirement. So you need to configure the host name and the console password, the telnet password, and enable password. Okay, and also, okay, more importantly, you need to configure the IP address of the serial link, the Ethernet interface, the clock rate for the 0000. Okay, and okay, for the IP classless command and the IP subnet 0 command, actually you can ignore them because they are all enabled by default. This will tell you that these 2 commands are actually quite important in case they are not enabled. But for most of the modern router, IP classless and IP subnet 0 are by default enabled in the Cisco router. Okay, so we can start configuring the IP address for the interfaces. Later I'll post up the solution in the text file of the configuration of all the routers for you to go through. Okay, so you can see what IP address do I give for the routers. Okay, the PC, you can give the IP address in the same subnet as the fast Ethernet of each router. Okay, now for the OSPF configuration. Okay, how do you configure OSPF? Okay, first you need to enable the OSPF by doing a router OSPF. There's a number behind here. This number is called the process ID. Okay, this process ID is not really important because it's locally significant, meaning you can use 101 in this router, you can use 102 in the second router, you can use 103. You can use any number. The number do not need to match between the routers. Okay, when you move on to EIGRP, okay, EIGRP have this requirement that all the routers, this number must match. But for OSPF, there's no requirement. Okay, but you need to put in a number behind. So in this case, for Perth, we choose 101. You can choose a different number. You can also choose the same number. It doesn't matter. Okay, for the other routers. Okay, next. Okay, the prompt will change to config router and you can start to input all your network commands. The network commands is the same as compared to read. Okay, the difference is you need to insert the wildcard. Okay, remember in the lecture I told you that wildcard is the inverse of the subnet mask. Okay, the subnet mask for the fast Ethernet interface is actually 255.255.255.192. Okay, just now we calculated. Okay, this is actually a /26 for the Perth network. Okay, for the Perth network is a /26. Okay, so /26 is 255.255.255.192. To calculate the wildcard, you just take 255.255.255.255 minus, okay, the subnet mask. And this will give you 0.0.0.63. Okay, and then you put it here. So you remember, you need to put in the network address, the network command, the network address, the wildcard, and finally you need to put in area 0. Okay, so for this lab, everything is area 0. Okay, when we move on to multi-area OSPF, we will start to give different areas number. Okay, but for this lab, just put in as area 0, so that all the networks belongs to that area 0. Okay, this for the Ethernet interface. How about the serial link? Okay, the Perth have one serial link is connect to Singapore. Okay, and we will use WAN link 1. WAN link 1, okay, the network address is 144 for WAN link 1. Okay, and remember for WAN link, the subnet mask is actually 255.255.255.252. Okay, 252 is the subnet mask for the WAN link. So again, if you take 255.255.255.255 minus the subnet mask, this will give you 0.0.0.3. Okay, this will be the wildcard to be put here for the subnet mask of 255.255.255.252. Okay, so okay, and then put in the area 0 command behind. Okay, so this is for Perth. So this command basically tell OSPF to advertise these two networks. Okay, advertise these two networks that is directly connected to Perth, okay, into the OSPF domain. So Perth router will advertise these two networks to the other OSPF router, telling the other OSPF router, I have these two networks. If you receive any packet going to these two networks, just send it to the Perth router. Okay, so that's basically the command for OSPF. And then you can start to configure the other routers. Okay, for the other routers, the Singapore routers, the Kenya router, and so on with the OSPF routing. And then you also configure the IP address for the host, the subnet mask, and the default gateway. And finally, you check if it's worked by doing the ping, okay, between the different PCs, okay, across a different country. And you're going to see the OSPF route, just do the show IP route command. Okay, and that will conclude the lab. Okay, so the commands are inserted here, and in Blackboard I will post the solution. Okay, the commands to be inserted into Perth, Singapore, KL, and Jakarta network. So take a look at the solution. Okay, try it out and see. Okay, if you get the network running and the PCs can ping each other. Okay, so have fun, and I'll see you in 2016. Okay, happy holiday and have a Merry Christmas.